Good evening to all our viewers. It's 6 p.m. and we're here to discuss what else? The big Babri Masjid demolition verdict. In an absolutely dramatic turn of events, we have seen an acquittal of all 32 accused, including some of the biggest names of India's politics, L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, Uma Bharti, have been acquitted. So, in other words, nobody demolished the Babri Masjid. The court has found that this was not a planned conspiracy and has also said that the evidence placed, in particular the audio evidence, was not clear. Is this not a travesty of justice? Has justice not been denied, especially when we consider the fact that even the Supreme Court, in its verdict announcing the building of a Ram Mandir, had called the demolition of the Babri Masjid an unlawful event, for which the Supreme Court has said that there must be justice for the Muslim community. Let me introduce our guests today. We can see them on the screen. Let me introduce them one by one. We're joined by Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate. We're joined by Sabha Naqvi, veteran journalist. Shantanu Gupta, commentator, biographer of Yogi Adityanath is with us. Shahid Siddiqui, editor of Nayi Dunya, is with us. And I'm very much hoping that Vivek Reddy will be able to join us shortly. We're waiting for his link to actually come through. I'll start with you, Sanjay Hegde, if I may. The fact of the matter is that when you think about what the Supreme Court had said in its own verdict, when it was talking about paving the way for a Ram Mandir, and that process is already underway, that the demolition was an unlawful act for which there must be restitution. Why is it, you think, that the CBI court has not taken its cue from the Supreme Court?
That's a matter of civil law. The Supreme Court in the civil suit found that both parties had proved their case. So therefore, when it came down to the question of granting relief, it molded the relief under Article 142 of the Constitution and said that, okay, we will give 5 acres elsewhere. In the course of the civil judgment, they made several observations, including the manner of demolition of the mosque. Now, the demolition of the mosque is unlawful, granted. The question is whether these people who were arraigned as accused, can you prove beyond all reasonable doubt in a criminal court that they were guilty of a conspiracy to demolish the mosque? Now, conspiracy in criminal law is very easy to allege, very difficult to prove.
Yeah.
Conspiracy requires a prior meeting of minds. There have been cases in criminal law where a criminal conspiracy and a meeting of minds happens shortly before the event. Now, there are several things which have happened in this case. The crowds were gathered, they came at that spot. The crowd was people in the crowd were carrying hammers, they were carrying ropes, and they were carrying a lot of stuff which is not normally associated with a puja, with the starting of a shilanyas. There are also photographs which show that there were people who practiced to pull down a structure. Now, how much of all this was put in court, brought on record in court, in accordance with the Indian Evidence Act, and available to the court to proceed on, I do not know, because there are 2,000 odd pages in Hindi which take some time to digest.
Right.
The thing about criminal law is people may think that there is a cast iron case based on what they have seen, what they know, what they have seen thereafter on television. But unless it is proven in accordance with the Evidence Act in a court of law, brought on record, then the court may or has the option of saying that you haven't proven your case beyond all reasonable doubt. Here, just one more thing before I yield the floor.
Yeah.
The thing is that if the court came to a conclusion that a prior meeting of minds and a conspiracy was not proven, it had no option but to let off everybody who was accused of conspiracy. If, on the other hand, it had said that there was a conspiracy, but then it would have to examine each person's role in a conspiracy and say, yes, this was a conspirator, this was not a conspirator, and give a punishment accordingly.
Okay.
The court has chosen the first line.
Sanjay, you've made a very technical legal argument. It sounds to me that you're not surprised. It sounds to me that what you're basically saying is that everything depends on the quality of evidence that the CBI was able to place before the court. And if the evidence did not match up, and for example, you're right, there are 2,000 pages to go through, but we already know that one of the things the judge held was that the audio speeches were not clear. We know that in some cases, photocopies of speeches were submitted. So we already know that this has happened, right? So, so you're not surprised, Sanjay? You're not surprised?
Well, I'm not surprised as a lawyer because many cast iron case is lost through bad handling. I know of one particular case. You remember Ahmad Umar Saeed Sheikh, who was released in Kandahar?
Right.
He was a terrorist. He was
Right.
tried in a Meerut court, and I
Right.
know that the prosecution there did not step into the box and produce a notification which said that the Hizbul Mujahideen was a banned organization. Therefore, the man could not be convicted under TADA. He was sentenced to 3 years under the Arms Act. So here was a prosecution agency, the CBI, which had dragged its feet for over 25 years before the Supreme Court finally in 2017 said, look, you made a mistake in not appealing the earlier verdict. You please let's combine both cases. Let's take the evidence as it now exists and proceed. I don't know after 2017 what the CBI did to patch up any holes in the case.
But I want to actually ask the larger question. You as a lawyer have argued on technicality on the law, which is correct. But what is the message this verdict will send the Muslim community? Because the Supreme Court, while paving the way for the Mandir, I keep saying this, acknowledged that the Muslim community was entitled to restitution, was entitled to justice, and said that those who were responsible for this demolition must be punished. The court has effectively held today that nobody was responsible for this demolition, that it was a kind of spontaneous outburst by the mob. And in fact, the court has held that the accused tried to stop the mob. Now, I want to get your take on this, Sabha, your quick, larger take, and then I'll get the others in. Sorry, Sanjay. Sanjay, what are you trying to say?
One quick line, Sabha.
Yeah.
And what is justice? Said jesting Pilate, but would not carry for an answer. Pontius Pilate also asked the same question.
Right. So I'm glad to get something non-legal from Sanjay finally, but go ahead, Sabha. Yeah.
So, Barkha, I'll say one thing, that today I feel there is a certain medieval age in which we live. There has been a crime against a Dalit girl in Uttar Pradesh, where there has been a spate of crimes against Dalits. I've written about it in a column 2 months ago. I had already noted this, right? There's been this kind of crime which was apparently revenge to show her place in the world. Muslims have in any case been a prime target for a long time in the mobilizing techniques. So I feel right now, very honestly, since that I'm living in a country where medieval things are allowed, and people, I'm sure some of your panelists will talk about Hindu identity, we need to assert because 500 years of injustice, that's a kind of crap. In an age when people are starving, losing their jobs, losing their employment, that's what they're being given. They're going to talk about 500 years and there was no crime because the Supreme Court last year ruled that the land was in any case, the Babri Masjid was in any case an illegal structure. So what those people did 20 years ago would not have been illegal. It's that kind of rubbish you get as political argument by the new intellectuals of the universe. So I cede my space. I think we live in I'm not responding only as a Muslim. I'm responding as someone whose career began in the backdrop of what happened in Ayodhya, who covered this entire sequence of the way the cases took twists and turns, because I was covering the BJP when LK Advani was suddenly let off by the special court, and then suddenly he was back in the case. Advani spent so many years trying to make sure that the law doesn't catch up with him. What is also extraordinary to my mind is why just blame the BJP? Look, Congress ruled in the middle of these 28 years for a whole chunk. Did they give the signaling that these cases should be pursued with any level of honesty? What do you think would happen to witnesses? when you have this kind of hegemonic power, how do you think they will say? Of course, everybody knows people went there with tools. There was Uma Bharti, a journalist, has just been quoted in the Washington Post, Barkha, a
Yeah.
colleague of ours, Radhika Ramaseshan, that she heard her. I was not there for the demolition. I had just started my career, started in the right after it was over. But Radhika was there. She is saying she heard Uma Bharti exhorting it. It is quoted in the Washington Times. Now you tell me, but I know enough. It would not even have been safe for me to go there, you know. And
Yeah.
the point is that there was people went there with tools, axes. Everybody knows all that, right? And I feel honestly,
So what
medieval.
is your
We are
takeaway?
living in a medieval time, and we are going to get politics of a medieval language. We are going to talk about historical wrongs against communities to gloss over the mess, economic mess we have made of things in the past year.
Sabha, are you surprised by the verdict?
I'm disappointed, I'll say. I always, Barkha, honestly, I always get a few goosebumps over the Ayodhya thing. My whole life, my whole career began in the context. You know, it was after Babri fell that I began a 2-year journey all across India, locating syncretic traditions and all, which I made into a book much later. I wrote a column when I was in my 20s in the Indian Express. I was trying to find things that unite us as opposed to this powerful hate that was dividing us. Then my family's village is not far from Faizabad, Ayodhya. And my grandfather was a lawyer in Lucknow. And he had to bring down his nameplate, because people said it's not safe. Suddenly, a man who was, by the way, who was a freedom fighter, and his brother was the first MLA of the Congress party from Raebareli. So these were people linked to the freedom movement who suddenly had to hide their faces, and when this sort of new mob was coming, and a few years later he died. I have always linked it up to the sense of disappointment with what I think for a person of his type to bring down his name and hide his name was
Right.
deeply disturbing,
Okay.
So
Let
it
me,
touched all our
I
lives.
mean, I think many people, and not Muslims alone, not Muslims alone. I think it's very important to make the point that it's not just Muslims who seek justice in this. I think all Indians seek justice in this, right? I just want to underline that point that we're not here on this program to say Sabah and Shahid will feel one way and Sanjay Hegde will feel another. And I'm just wondering, Shantanu, how you're feeling today. Because the point is that I think Sanjay Hegde made the correct point that the quality of evidence in the end determines justice. And we're already seeing as we go through these 2,000 pages, and a lot more details are going to come out, Shantanu. But we're already seeing a suggestion that audio speeches were not clear, that in some cases photocopies were placed. So, people are going to think that maybe the CBI was not serious, or maybe it was, I don't know, under some kind of pressure, under some sort of instructions. Those are questions that are going to be asked now.
See, I think as Sanjay ji have explained the jurisprudence and the judicial process, the whole case went by the evidence presented in front of the court, right? Now, if you think, a lot of people allege that CBI work under the influence of the government. As Sabha also said, in the last 3 decades, 28 years, this case has been going on. There has been various governments, and Congress was there for the chunk of time, right? So again, if we have to assume that CBI was working the influence of to dilute the case, so meaning the Congress was also trying to dilute the case, right? So that's point number one. See, the structure is removed, everyone saw it, but there is a criminal conspiracy? I think that's the point which everybody, I'm telling this since the times like 6-7 years, I'm coming on TV channels, that there is no criminal conspiracy. Yeah, BJP takes a pride in the Ram Mandir issue. They have put their political weight behind the Ram Mandir issue in the last 30 years. But what is the criminal conspiracy? No. And Sabaji has already put all the things that trivialize that identity is no issue. In the heart of Delhi, you can call a road Aurangzeb Road, and no Sikh will feel anything bad about it. Right? She's already taken that historical wrongs in no place. Someone can come and break 40,000 temples of Hindus, and it's not a problem. You should be happy about it. Someone will go and burn Nalanda, and you will call that Bakhtiyarpur. There's no problem about it.
Shantanu, if Aurangzeb represents a historical wrong to you, what happened 28 years ago doesn't represent a historical wrong to you. Aurangzeb does, whom none of us have anything to do with, who doesn't impact our lives.
No, it does, Barkha. Maybe not. A lot of people live by their identity. Okay, tell me why? No, tell me. No, I'll not allow you. I'll not allow you to digress. I'll make you.
I didn't digress. You brought in Aurangzeb.
No,
I'm
no, no.
talking about
Sabha
Babri
said historical. No, history means nothing. Then why we teach history in the schools, madam? Why we teach history in colleges? Remove all this.
Masjid. You tell me what you feel about today's verdict, Shantanu. Let's not get that.
Today's verdict and what verdict came a year back just vindicated all of us, which we are saying for so long, right? The historical wrong was corrected last year. Court did not know for 27 years was the land illegal or not. A lot of people, a lot of intelligent men knew lot many years back. Court just got to know last year that it was a illegal occupation, and but there was no criminal conspiracy. It was a spontaneous act of the 500 years of Hindu oppression.
Okay, now I know a lot of people.
I'm sorry, Barkha,
yes, Sanjay, go ahead.
As a Hindu and as a lawyer, look, you do not speak to me as to who my Ram is. My Ram is Maryada Purushottam. My Ram is the one who, even when faced with injustice, accepted an unjust verdict of his parents and went off.
All unjust verdicts are for Hindus. All unjust verdicts are for Hindus, and all
take over my Hinduism.
Minorities as per Manmohan.
Take over my Hinduism. And secondly, the court never recognized anything as a historical wrong. The Supreme Court said that both sides have proved their case. Both sides get a decree, but I will mold the decree only to bring in peace. Now, I do not want this historical wrong theory to go on because I do not want my descendants.
I don't know what kind of law you are. Did you read the Supreme Court and Allahabad Court Justice?
Can I just ask as
just one second. Shahid have been patient. Yeah. Sabha, quickly, because
very quickly, I just want to put this question as an atheist. It's not even Hindu-Muslim. Do you think that the Peshwas committed a historic wrong on Dalits when they had to carry a burden when they entered the cities? And do you think when they had to announce that they were entering, is it a historic wrong? I see this in the context of
people like Sabha learn this water boundary from the Western scholars from the narrative.
I'll tell you what. I actually think that if we start debating history, we'll be here forever without talking about what we're actually here to talk about. But what I think the point that Sabha is trying to make is that there is an example from history for every example that is given. I want to bring in Shahid and Vivek Reddy now. Vivek, sorry, we lost the line to you. Welcome to the program. But I'll just get a comment from Shahid, Vivek, and then oops, we just lost Vivek right on cue, and we lost Shahid also. So we're just going to let Sabha add to that, and then Shantanu can respond. Sabha, go ahead. You can complete your point.
As an atheist, very soberly, not as a Muslim, not as a believing Hindu or anything like some of everybody here is. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I just want to know. I have studied history in a liberal Lutyens college in Delhi, and I know enough to know that. Do you think it was a historic wrong? Which is why Bhima Koregaon and all of this happened. Those people were locked up in jail. You do know that Ambedkar converted to Buddhism by the time he was done.
Not Islam. You know Ambedkar's commentary in Islam? Sabha, have you read about Ambedkar's commentary on Islam?
No.
Have you read about Ambedkar's commentary on Islam?
You carry on about Muslims.
Have you read Ambedkar?
I asked you about a historic wrong. Did the Peshwas commit historic wrong on Dalits?
This is a typical way when I'll ask you a tough question, you'll run away. Have you read Ambedkar's commentary on Islam? Why Ambedkar is not converted to Islam?
Okay. We're going down and down.
Beam after that. You never quote Ambedkar after that if you read Ambedkar.
Down and down to the Peshwas instead of talking about the verdict today. And I want Shahid Siddiqui. Shahid, I really hope you've stabilized your video. Go ahead, Shahid, with your thoughts.
Look, Barkha, it's not a sad day for me, and I'm not surprised because this is exactly what we expected, and this we have been expecting all along. It was in 1949 when the murtis were placed. Then the courts behaved the way they behaved and did not allow the murtis to be removed. When the locks were opened, we could see how the courts behaved and how the justice system behaved and allowed the locks to be opened and how they went about it, how the Shilanyas took place, and how all the verdicts have come. Because it has all along been a case of Astha it has nothing to do with truth, nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with facts. And when, let's say very clearly, in this country, 21st century, under our constitution, Astha is much more important than the law of the land, than the justice system. Secondly, the second point I want to make is Babri Masjid ke hammam mein sab nange hain. It is not just about what is happening today. The way Narasimha Rao government behaved, the way even Rajiv Gandhi behaved, the way the Mulayam Singh government tried to subvert the case, the way others have been subverting the case all along for last 28 years. Before that and after the demolition of the mosque, everybody has been part of this conspiracy. And I have no doubt in my mind that there was a conspiracy. I was a member of the National Integration Council. I met Narasimha Rao on 6th of December. I was the first to meet him at 6:30.
So who do you blame for this, Shahid? Who do you blame for this? Shahid, who do you?
There was a
Shahid,
conspiracy, but conspiracy will not be proved. There is a conspiracy only in Delhi riot case. Yes, absolutely, it will be proved that there was a conspiracy in Delhi, but there was never a conspiracy in last 70 years. This will be proven, and we cannot do anything about it. We have to learn to live with it. As if you ask me as a Muslim, we must learn to live with it. It was a mistake of our Muslim leadership not to believe that justice will come to them. They should have known that justice will not be done to them. This was very clear.
So what should the Muslim community do now? Since Shahid, you've said that it was a mistake of the Muslim leadership. What should the Muslim community do now?
They should be ready to give more mosques, because now more issues will be raised. More mosque issues will be, as Shantanu is saying, it's about 40,000 mosques. Some people say it's about 300,000 mosques. It's about the Taj Mahal. It's about Jam Masjid. It's about so many things. So it should go on and on and on. Go back to the 14th, 12th century. Learn to live with it. Those who want to contest it, contest. Those who want to surrender, surrender. But
what will you do? What will you do?
There is no justice.
What will you do?
There is no justice. There is no justice for minorities. Let's face it. There was no justice in Bhagalpur riot, in Hashimpura riot, in Gujarat riots. I have not seen justice anywhere ever. I have seen more riots. I have covered more riots. I have never seen justice being done to the minorities and those who have been killed. Not a single case of justice in 84 or otherwise.
That's very, very sad. That's very sad to hear. And I'm going to bring in, Sanjay, I know you're wanting to react. Go ahead.
Just a quick one-liner.
Yeah, go ahead.
By your favorite phrase, दिल नाउमीद न सही नाकाम ही तो है, लंबी है गम की शाम पर शाम ही तो है. Do not give up hope.
But the fact is, Sanjay, that he has said that he has given up hope, and I want Shantanu and Sabha to react to that. And I'll start with you, Sabha. You're still smiling. And I know that's not because of an absence of anguish. You also started by saying we just live in this medieval time. I think you're smiling almost ironically. Like what else can I do but smile? Like what else can I do but smile?
In the beginning of the program, I said it will be 500 years of injustice, and I was given that. But that aside, I think it's very important for the Muslim community to recognize that they are not the only ones. Historically, Dalits too and Adivasis too face injustice. You look at the data in Indian jails for years, you will find a disproportionate number of Muslims, Adivasis and Dalits. I think there is a larger ideological project against Muslims, but the reality of society is such that we don't collectively look at the amount of horrendous crimes that take place even today, not just in Uttar Pradesh, which is really bad these days, but in other parts of India against Dalits. We barely know what is happening to Adivasis. So as an Indian citizen, I engage myself with all issues of injustice. As a journalist, I try to chronicle them, and I try to get away. Yes, Barkha, it is overwhelming. People carry, it is, I try to get away because how do you survive otherwise? How do you do the work? If I only put myself in this, I'm being very honest with you, in this ghetto space and see myself only as a Muslim, how do you survive this? So I will not do that. I say today is medieval because of the crime against the young lady, which you went to Hathras and covered yesterday. And two things, they both remind me of how medieval we can be. That's how I will respond to this.
Okay, Shantanu, I know you've got your hand up, but Vivek's been trying to join and rejoin the
Right.
program for a while, so I'll just get
Yes,
Vivek
allow
in.
Vivek.
Vivek, yeah,
Thank you,
Vivek,
Barkha.
Vivek, just a data point. A data point is it's been 28 years and a little over that. There were more than 800 witnesses, including several journalists who've testified in this case. 7,000 pages of evidence. 7,000 pages of evidence, and we come up with a all acquitted case. Are you not absolutely flabbergasted, Vivek Reddy, by this development?
I mean, why should we be flabbergasted? On the other hand, I feel, Barkha, I strongly feel that one of the greatest mistakes has been done against these 49 leaders or 49 people who were accused, including certain Mahants. I think you have misled the entire nation. You means the government, the CBI, the then existing Congress regime, has misled the entire people of India and put innocent people as the accused there. The findings of the court on the basis of evidence is this was wholly uncontrolled, and there is no connect with a link with the conspiracy and to the actual demolition. And Sanjay Agde will agree, if there is no such connect or link, then this was a big witch hunt. And the witch hunt was why? Why did they
Witch
resort to
hunt.
this witch hunt?
This is now a witch
Yeah,
hunt.
why did they resort to
This
this
is
witch
now
hunt?
a witch hunt.
Hold on. Let me just complete. I request you to allow me to complete because so many people have said so many things. I am trying to raise all the issues and trying to collectively crystallize it in a short form. I think number one, it's a witch hunt because there is no evidence to link these people. Number one, if these people have stated from the dais, don't demolish, then I don't think a statement made in Washington Post, which Sabha likes to refer, I don't think that statement we find material
Okay,
evidence.
let me read out. Let me read out a statement you may prefer. Let me read out a statement that you may prefer.
You're not giving me an equal chance to answer what others have said, because this is a healthy debate on issues concerning India, which Shantanu has raised. I'm glad that Shantanu has raised it. I think Sabha must understand. This is where I ask Sabha. I think Sabha has been so eloquent, or so, has been trying to portray India in such a desperate manner that we are medieval. Well, Sabha, let me tell you, this is a beautiful country. I don't think there is anything medieval here. I think, what is medieval, you must understand. Your medieval, your categorization of medieval must come out of your spectacles, which are colored. The problem is that Pandits were thrown out of Kashmir. You never thought about medieval India. When jihadis came, and even today jihadis are trying to establish a base in India, you never say that it is medieval. Isn't it medieval to be jihadist? Well, all these things are forgotten. How sad.
I'm not going to respond.
How sad.
I'm talking about raping Dalit people by the past regime.
You're saying this is.
I'm talking about raping, getting rid of their bodies, is that not medieval?
The Supreme Court.
And you want to talk only about Muslims and Islam? Have you run out of your own issues?
Based on equity. Let me tell you, don't.
Are you only men because of other people?
Based on equity.
Where is your manhood?
Hindus have a right to worship there, based on past worship. Well, that's a judgment of the Supreme Court. Are you saying it is medieval? And let me tell you, Muslims in India are not in any threatened situation.
One of the things I try and do on this platform,
that people like you are trying to propagate.
Vivek, I want to say something.
Let us tell these gentlemen who have such a complex on their shoulder. In the Delhi, I have myself gone and seen 9 burnt mosques. But apparently, the Muslim Delhi, Northeast Delhi.
Are you a witness to the incident? Please don't talk. Are you a witness?
Who are you to tell me not to talk?
Not a witness.
Don't dare tell me.
After the riot, nothing happened. There are versions for both sides.
Carry a little chip obsessed with Muslims.
You are not a for any particular version. You are a neutral journalist.
Do it. Your mind will be.
Basic ethic is you are a neutral journalist.
I'm going to get into facts.
Try to first understand that ethic.
In Delhi, 9 mosques I have seen myself burned,
and so far as
all of this has happened.
Vivek, I have to come in now. I have to come in now.
I am very happy if these people carry on this Muslims day in and day out. I think right you do that.
All methods possible
Yes,
within the
Muslim this, Muslim that, history this, history. I know
you are the one who's misleading here. Please, you are the one who's misleading.
You're normally much lighter than this.
Don't dare
Okay,
to do
here's
that. Okay?
Okay, Vivek,
Correct.
Vivek,
You are welcome.
Sabha, let me handle this. Let me handle this.
Huh?
Okay, let me handle this. Let me handle this.
There's no
Vivek,
question
you
of
are,
daring.
Vivek, I'm going to have to
Question of
move on
daring.
now. Vivek,
Let
I have
Sabha,
to move on now.
let
Vivek, I
Sabha
have to
come
move
out
on.
of her hypocrisy. That's all.
1 minute. Why have you made Sabha the target? We are here. We
Because
are
I'm
here
a
to
Muslim,
talk about.
I'm a Muslim. They can't just see my face. I've said atheist, but all they see is a Muslim, that too a woman. Too much, yeah? That's what happened. That's
Okay.
why
Okay.
I'm the target.
20
I'm a
seconds.
Muslim
Okay.
woman.
Okay, here's the point. I don't know what we're talking about. Vivek. I
yeah,
want
let's
to
go back,
actually,
let's go back.
I want to bring up the
Anything
statement.
else, you know?
Yeah,
Acha.
first try to listen to
Sabha,
other
Vivek,
people, Sabha.
I'm moving
Don't try
on.
to cover up.
Vivek, you said you did not like the Washington Post statement that Sabha referenced. I would like to bring up a statement for you.
It is not a
that
question of liking, Barkha. It
Arey,
is a
आगे
question as
बढ़िए.
to whether
Look
that
at
has
what's
become
on
part
the
of the
screen.
proof.
Vivek, this is what the Supreme Court said. This is the Supreme Court, right? This is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court spoke about the unlawful destruction of the place of worship. I'm actually going to bring it up again. Here it is. It is necessary to provide restitution to the Muslim community for the unlawful destruction of their
You're
place
right.
of worship. Right? This is Vivek, not the Washington Post, not some
Yes.
jihadist manual. It is the Supreme Court. And I want you to briefly react and then I want Shantanu to react. Please, this is the
Well,
Supreme Court I am quoting
correct.
and I'm going to bring it up yet again.
While balancing the equities, Supreme Court, after having said this, has also said that a place will be provided for worship for the masjid and has provided the place of worship. Now, this is a
No,
totally
but it was
different
not
issue.
either or. It was not either or. It was not that the 5 acres was meant to replace the justice for
All right,
Babri
all right.
Masjid.
But
5
that is all the
acres was
Supreme
in
Court.
relation to the
The
Ram
hard
Mandir
reality.
decision.
Yes, the hard reality is the Supreme Court carved out the remedy in such a manner. That's the hard reality. But the point I'm trying to make is,
But at the
where is
same
the,
time,
how
ask
are
for
you,
justice.
how are you
But at
linking
the
this to
same
the
time, ask for
conspiracy?
justice.
No, how are you linking this to the conspiracy, which is the subject matter here? There is nothing to link this remedy given by the Supreme Court to the
Okay, let's
conspiracy.
move on.
The
Let's move on.
conspiracy is without evidence, Mr. Siddiqui.
Okay,
And
let's
Mr. Sanjay Hegde, I'd like to tell Mr. Sanjay Hegde, just a small point, the Barkha, I'll wind up. Just a minute. I'd like to tell Sanjay Hegde, he spoke about Maryada Purushottama. Well, the Maryada Purushottama became a Maryada Purushottama after he was misled by a Dovi. Today, let us hope that we are not misled. Sanjay Hegde is misleading this nation regarding Ram. Let me tell you, what you say is not final, it's your opinion. But the point is this. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that wherever injustice exceeds to such an extent, then there is nothing wrong. You don't have to sit like a Maryada Purushottama, Mr. Sanjay Hegde.
Okay,
Your
Mr.
idea
Reddy,
of Maryada
Mr. Reddy,
Purushottama,
I
your
think
idea of Ram, you keep it to yourself.
you've had the mic
We
for
know what
enough
you have
time.
done.
Mr. Reddy, you've had the mic for enough time, and I need to move on to the
Mr.
other
Reddy
panelists.
is doing a Donald Trump, Barkha. Mr. Reddy has decided to be Donald Trump on this debate of yours.
Well, for people like you, Donald Trump is the best.
I'm going to Shantanu.
Barkha, let me tell Sabha Naqvi. For people like Sabha Naqvi, Donald Trump is the ideal
I can't
person.
have a conversation derailed like this. I need to focus on issues. I'm not a television channel. I need to focus on issues, Vivek. And really, I want to make it very clear because we are not in the business of propaganda for anybody. The Supreme Court, while giving the 5 acres of land for the Muslims to build a mosque if they should so want, did not do this at the expense of justice in the Babri Masjid case. Please let us not suggest that the 5 acre ka zameen, Shantanu, while allotting it, had anything to do with the court simultaneously asking for justice in the Babri Masjid case. So we cannot connect these 2 points. Now, Shantanu, you've been wanting to react. Go ahead, please.
No, I was trying to react in the last half an hour when I'm hearing two panelists, Sabha and Rashid Bhai. They are just playing a typical Muslim victim card, which Congress is trying to play from so long. They're saying, I'm a woman, I'm a Muslim.
Shahid just condemned the Congress. Shahid just condemned the Congress, so did Sabha.
Let me come in something. Why didn't, if the opinion doesn't agree to you, you just jump and just, Barkha, allow you to speak as the way you're allowing Shahid and Sabha to speak.
Let him respond. Let Shantanu complete his point.
Bhai, bolne to diya kare aap log. See your intolerance now, Shahid bhai. See your intolerance now.
Shahid, 1 minute. Shantanu, you make your point. Shahid, I'll come to you.
I'm saying they're trying to paint a picture that in this country Muslims cannot survive, and this is the medieval India. They don't even know India then. They don't come out of Delhi. talk to a Mohammad Shami who's in Indian cricket team, or Azim Hazam Premji or a Shah Rukh Khan. Are they surviving only on Muslim fan base? Tell me any field from media to business to politics where Muslims are not flourished based on their merit. And then they will say, oh, Muslims are victim card. This is the new India I have to live to. Because their perks have been cut after 2014. Right? What they're not getting. That's why they're habitual of appeasement politics for last 70 years. That's the way all the media behaved. And now they say in a medieval country,
Shantanu,
go to the bright Muslim guys who are starting.
Why are you insulting India's Muslims by equating them with the Congress party? Are you saying that India's Muslims
party is an insult? Okay, that's interesting. For Barkha, I'll tweet it. For Barkha, the name of Congress party is an insult. Oh, that's an interesting fact. So you're saying the naming Congress party is an insult?
Yes, no. I'm saying it's insulting India's Muslims to conflate them with one political party. They're much larger than that. They're diverse. They have different leaders. They have different people they believe in. Even the BJP has some Muslim ministers. Why would you equate Indian Muslims equal to Congress party?
I'm trying to say something else. Maybe you're not trying to understand, or maybe I'm not explaining it properly. I'm saying they're trying to play a Muslim card. They're trying to play a victim card. Oh, it's a medieval age. Tell me a field where Muslims are not flourishing based on the merit, right? Okay. Because the verdict is not in favor of them. The Ayodhya verdict and this Babri Masjid was, oh, now the medieval court. The same court becomes excellent one day. I think it's an odd even thing. They have a combination. Which state this thing happened, which political party, which caste, which religion, and then they will come out with a statement, right? Okay. I think this sham is now open. This sham is open now. People are smart enough. Don't try another trick. Try another trick, Sabha. This trick is not work anymore. People are very smart now.
Once again, I had tried very hard for this not to be a conversation where the Muslims spoke with disappointment for the judgment and the Hindus spoke for, in favor of the judgment. So instead of going to Sabha and Shahid, I'll go to Sanjay. Because I don't want this to be, Hinduओं ने कहा ये verdict welcome है, मुसलमानों ने कहा ये verdict terrible है. Sanjay, go ahead.
See, as a Hindu, the first thing I say is that Shantanu and Vivek do not represent me. I have not given them a power of attorney. I can be a Hindu, I can be an atheist, I can worship Ram, I can not worship Ram. That is the beauty of my Hinduism. It's a very flexible way of life. I do not want people to be orphaned, people to be widowed, people to have a sense of injustice because of Hinduism. Listen, my Lord Ram would have taken everybody on board, even if there was something which came in the way of a temple. I am sure that my Lord Ram would have found a way. Who are you small petty men to go there, destroy somebody else's place of worship and say, yes, we have won? Are you condemning India to 500 more years of just this kind of my side one, their side one? Let us not take sides. If you have to build a new India, you have to carry everyone along. When Lord Ram went to fight Ravan in Lanka, there was a small squirrel. The squirrel was carrying those little pieces which came into the Ram Setu. Lord Ram blessed even that squirrel. We are a collective nation, a nation of collective identities. To break it up like you people do is not India, is not Hinduism, and it is certainly not Lord Ram.
Okay, now I think that is passionately said, and I'm sure Shantanu wants to respond to this. We lost the line to Vivek, we'll try and get him back, but I do want to go to Sabha. Sabha, one point about Muslim victimhood that Shantanu raises. Now, there are others. I'll name you one person, Javed Akhtar. Now, he's an atheist, but he's culturally identifies as Muslim. The two are separate things. And he said to me in an interview that मैंने बहुत बोला मुसलमानों के groups को कि ये जो land है, आप वहाँ पर hospital बनाइए या school बनाइए, please mosque मत बनाना. We don't need to be trapped as a community by this sort of narrative of mosques. Do you believe that the Muslim community, because there has been some conversation about whether the Muslim leadership also has handled this in a correct way. Do you believe that the Muslim leadership at this point should maybe also turn around and surprise us And build a hospital at this at the alternative site.
You know, Barkha, the time for all that I don't think they should take it and do anything with it, if in my opinion. I was also of the, I know where Javed Saab comes from. I often, I know him quite well, and I know I was also of the view, look, this entire Muslim leadership was created when the All India Muslim Personal Law Board was created. As they became the sort of arbiters. I've written against them a lot. These men with unlimited reins of the law board became spokespersons of India's Muslims, right? And a conservative male stereotype, all of that has led. But right now, it's moved on beyond any tactical positions. I personally think it doesn't matter. Do whatever you like. Ignore, of course, build a hospital, do all these things. And I know all that, and I've written extensively about this. But I'll just say, Barkha, I'll just take this opportunity before we get derailed again. In the future now, what I see, having covered this as a journalist, this whole process and having covered BJP mobilization, in the future there is already some kind of petition which has gone in on Mathura. Because the economy is doing so badly, because among major world economies we've really shrunk, we don't have a good situation on the border, we have one of the largest, one of the strictest and most abrupt lockdowns, which has damaged our economy further after demonetization. This is what the world economists say. Because of all these things, we will need to keep revisiting the Hindu-Muslim script. So I do expect that it's not over, that more, all of them now talk about 4,000, that's all you're going to get. That is how Indian politics is going to play out by the dominant party of the age. That is my prediction, and it's just, I would never have thought last year that Mathura would be picked up. It has. There is an election in Uttar Pradesh around the corner, 2021.
2 years later, 2 years later, that's the election. Every month there is some election.
Shantanu, just half a second. Sabha, so you don't agree with Javed Akhtar's proposal that the Muslim community should build a school or a hospital at the alternative site? You don't agree with that?
I will not agree with anyone. I don't think it matters. They have been defeated. They can do what they like, and they have also handled the whole thing in a stupid way all along. There was a time to have given, done all this. They can do what, it's completely irrelevant to my way of thinking right now.
Okay. Now I'm saying both Vivek and Shantanu's hands up, and I'll go first to Shantanu. Shantanu, go ahead, and then to Vivek, and then Shahid can come in. Yeah, Shantanu.
Whenever the temple case came, Ram Mandir case came, a lot of people talked about economy. Let me talk about the temple economy of India. There are 279 towns in India that runs on Hindu temple economy. Do you know what the economy of Tirupati is? A 3,000 crore rupees economy. The Ganesh Visarjan just in Mumbai is a 500 rupees economy. And I'll tell you a very interesting fact. The Kavar Yatra, which you all hate, and you do shows on Kavar Yatra, it's a 200 crore rupees economy just for a month. And who made the Kavars? You know what is a Kavar? They are largely made by the Muslims of Jwalapur. Ayodhya will unflourish. It will be an economic hub, tourism hub for not in Eastern UP, for Bihar. They don't even know that. I think sitting in Delhi, they have lost touch from India. Temple economy is a big thing in India. If you touch economy, I'm saying
that's
it's a.
Not what she's talking about. She's talking about. She's asking you, Shantanu.
Barkha, don't rephrase her for me. I understand English very well. I studied in UK. I understand English very well. Don't rephrase her for me. I understand it very well. I understand the undertones. I understand the undertones very well. I understand the British humor. Spent 2 years in UK, so don't explain. You need not rephrase her.
Can I ask you a question of my own? The question is this: ये यही खत्म होगा कि क्या और जगहों पर भी ये यहाँ पे पहले मंदिर था और ये मस्जिद गिरना चाहिए पॉलिटिक्स होंगी? If you don't want me to paraphrase Sabha, let me ask my own question.
Yeah,
Shantanu, आप ही से है.
बिल्कुल. I'm saying, so so it's a land dispute, right? So let's say I have a house and you grab it. You say, oh, you have won already 3 cases. Don't find 5. So let's say I have 5 lands. I'll tell you a simple case. I have 5 lands, and you occupied 1 land, Sabha occupied 1 land, Shahid Bhai acquired 1 land, right? I won against Shahid Bhai. You say, no, now you lose. Other 2 cases you forget. Don't fight against Barkha. Don't fight against Sabha. Let them acquire land. What kind of logic is that? If there is a merit in the case, court should agree to it. Court should admit it, right? What's the problem?
The problem is, this is not what our country. The problem is, I'll let Sanjay answer that. Sanjay, you want to answer that? What's the problem?
Yes. See, listen, there's something called limitation. If somebody squats on my land for 12 years, I do nothing. I lose my title. You can't go around Here in Mathura, there have been agreements and decrees of
That courts will
1968
decide, sir.
that
That courts will
spring up
decide.
after that
And
and so on.
you can be the law for
500
all
years
India Muslims. Law about
things
them.
are going
Well,
on.
we
You
Instead of Mr.
can't
Dhawan, you can
run
become
a
famous.
even
country
before
for a
Instead of
rule
Mr.
of
Dhawan,
law.
you can become
If
famous.
who
You
are
can be
you,
the law for
Sanjay?
that. Let's court
Who are
decide
you,
that.
Sanjay? Even before the facts have come out on Mathura, who are you to talk about it and say this is the final facts on Mathura? You are nobody to say
I
that.
am talking
Can I
about
ask you-
Where
limited.
have you got from? Where do
I
you
am
get this?
talking about
Have you
limited.
said? Have you read the
Please
papers? Has anybody
tell
briefed
me,
you about it? Has
tell
anybody briefed
me
you about it? Are you anybody's
what
lawyer then?
the law of limitation
Okay.
is.
Why are you
Request you
hallucinating?
all. I know you're all so hardened by
I think you
TV
should
news
stop
that you all
hallucinating.
speak all together. Can I request you all on this program to speak one by one? Because I am so unused to television now, I can't follow people if they all speak together. So I am sorry, it must be my intellectual limitation, but I really can't do this anymore. So just a request, I'll give everybody equal time. Please speak one on one because I honestly can't follow the conversation anymore. So now, Vivek, make your point and let me ask you a very direct question. I had hoped that you and Shantanu would say, no, Mathura are not the issues. These are not issues. Our issues are economy, our issues are COVID, our issues are the pandemic. But it seems like even Sushant Singh Rajput is not enough of a distraction. And I mean no ill by that. I hope justice is done for Sushant Singh Rajput. But I also think our country doesn't need to be arguing about Mathura. Why are we arguing about Mathura, Vivek? Can I ask you that? Please go ahead.
Well, that is because Sabha Naqvi raised it, and that is because Sanjay Hegde said something about Mathura.
No, Sabha was saying,
No, I was asking Sanjay Hegde, has anybody briefed you or debriefed you about Mathura?
Acha,
Why are you
Vivek.
bringing?
Okay, Vivek, I want to go back to the question that I asked you, which you haven't answered. And that is the Supreme Court's call, and I'm going to pull it up again. The Supreme Court's call for restitutions to Muslims while delivering the verdict on the Ram Mandir. I do want you to answer this.
Yes, along with this, the Supreme Court having said that there must be restitution, the Supreme
Yeah.
Court has also noticed, kindly
Yes.
don't read the judgment selectively, or kindly let us not portray the judgment selectively.
Yes.
Supreme Court has also noticed that Maryada Purushottam's Ram Lalla's birthplace has been
Yes.
identified in the Puranas, which form the basis for evidence, and that there had been a temple there earlier, and worshipping rites have been going on since the past 150 years, and at
Right.
least since the past 50 years. So this was the basis of the judgment, and the Supreme Court said it must rightfully go to the Hindus. But since there was a temple, mosque there, the Supreme Court said that there is a restitution that is to be provided. Well, under its power to balance equities and provide remedy, the Supreme Court has done it. But while it said restitution, Barkha, the Supreme Court also said that Ram was born there.
I'm
And
not
there was a
disputing
temple
that.
there.
I'm not
And
disputing
that
that.
it is
I'm saying the
necessary.
judgment called for
And it
justice
is
for the Babri
necessary
Masjid
to
Demolition.
establish the temple
That's
there.
the judgment. Okay,
And let me tell
Sanjay,
you one
want to
thing.
disagree
Let
with
me tell
me?
you
Yeah.
one. Barkha,
Jaldi se Vivek,
for
I
the
need to move
past-
on to the others.
for,
Yeah.
for from 1940, when the suits were filed in the 1940s, from
Yeah.
then till about 2020, Hindus have been waiting for the judgment of Ayodhya. Hindus have worked it out under the constitution. They have raised the suits in the high courts. This protracted litigation, generational litigation, has ended now. We have not said that the government has not passed a law saying that take over the masjid or take over the entire premises. Well, this is a
Okay.
constitutional setup. Where is the question of medieval here?
Okay,
As
okay, Vivek, I have 10 minutes left and we all agreed to go one by one on this. And therefore, I want to now go to Shahid, who has been waiting. And Shahid, there was a question from Shantanu. He made 2 points. One about victimhood and Congress. That conflation between Muslim victimhood and Congress. I want you to respond to that because among the first people you criticized was actually Narasimha Rao. I don't know if he missed that. So Shahid, go ahead.
Look,
Shahid, go
Barkha,
ahead.
I don't know what is victimhood. If somebody face atrocities, one should
Yes.
not cry. The Sikhs have been crying about 84 right justice. So is it victimhood? Are Dalits who have been suffering and raising their voice, is it victimhood? If people who have suffered under riots or who have suffered injustice, is it victimhood? I think it's people like Shantanu who are using this victimhood card despite being 85% of the population ruling this country for last 70 years. They have been talking of some atrocities being committed 500 years back by some person called Aurangzeb, and now victimizing a man walking on the street, lynching him because Aurangzeb had done something 500 years back. This is victimhood. They are suffering from victimhood, not the Muslims, not the Sikhs, not the Dalits, not those who have been suffering all along for last 70 years. It is the upper caste which has been talking of victimhood. It is not the lower caste of this country. It is not the marginalized. It's not the poor. They are raising their voice, and justly raising their voice. This is not victimhood. It is ridiculous. I mean, it's laughable to say that those who are those who are oppressed should not talk about it. Otherwise, it's a victim card.
Okay.
It's so easy. They have created
So
this term
Shahid,
victim card.
Shahid,
So you should
okay,
not
now
talk
here's
about
the
it.
thing. We have 10 minutes left, and I want to ask all
No,
of you, where
I did not interfere anywhere. But let me say, Barkha, that in 1991, I had made it very clear. Not 91, in fact, from 1986 onwards, I have been telling Muslim Personal Law Board, I have been telling all Muslim leaders that give up this land. If there is so much of astha of Hindus in this land, please give it up. But they did not agree. Their argument was that if we do it now, then they will be asking for, and it was a fact, they will be asking for 30,000 mosques, and at least 3 they want immediately. They are not ready to compromise on 3 mosques, so we cannot do it. I was part of many debates with all the leaders from
okay,
of the Hindu Mahasabha, of Vish Hindu Parishad in 90s. In 90s, I took part in that. I was part of the National Integration Council. I've been trying my best to see that some kind of compromise take place, because
what do you think should happen now? Shahid,
we don't want to
Shahid,
break
Shahid, I need
bridges.
to start taking
But
closing
if
comments.
this is the
What do you
attitude,
think should
if the
happen now?
attitude is just
Shahid, what do you
this
think?
and not
Shahid,
allow
what do
you
you
to
think
raise
should
your
happen
voice,
now?
then it cannot be
Shahid,
done.
Shahid, what do you think briefly? I'll come to everybody one by one. What do you think should happen now? What do you think should happen now?
Now I think Muslims should concentrate on getting better education. Even with that, it will be called education jihad. Let them go for education jihad. Let them go for UPSC jihad. Let them go for economic jihad. Let them try to build this country. Let them try to build themselves. Move away from politics. Move away from controversies, and stop thinking that you are going, because Mr. Hegde is there to fight for you, or Barkha is there to fight for you, you are going to get justice. No, sir, you are not going to get it. You will get the justice only by standing on your feet, and you will stand on your feet by doing better in the field of economic and education. Concentrate there. You move away from politics.
Barkha,
My
I
message.
go
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
quick comment.
quick.
In the
Okay,
interest of
okay,
the country. In the interest.
okay. Shahid, I'm going to have to interrupt. Sanjay, go ahead. Yeah.
My quick comment is that the Supreme Court, in the earlier civil suit, tried to buy peace at the cost of justice. Therefore, it molded the relief and gave away those 5 acres. It is now evident that there is unlikely to have for peace to have been bought that way. We should have stuck to the letter of the law. Unfortunately, that was not done.
Okay. Sanjay, what do you think should happen now? What do you think should happen now?
No, there will be an appeal filed, but it will take time, and many more people will possibly be not available to appear before an earthly tribunal.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay. I'm going to say thank you to you. I'm going to say thank you to Shahid. I can see Vivek there. I'll allow him to come in and make a quick last word when we can actually get his line up. But in the meantime, let me actually go to Sabha. Sabha, let's bring you in on your last thoughts.
Barkha, I just feel that looking ahead, this case is it's gone now. It will be a template case on how the judiciary bows to the political will of the day. That's how the world is going to see it. That's how we are becoming diminished in our democratic thing. I believe that they will raise more such disputes, because that is the only political. They've not performed economically. So identity is the only way, and because of the caste divisions, especially when you see Dalit women being brutally gang raped and their bodies being covered up by the police, when you see all that, you are aware there are strong caste divisions. So the only way to try and overcome that is to build a common enemy and to get all the political money on one side through that's how this project has worked. You've basically you've got all the political money, you've got the richest party ever in India's history. The only one, according to and so that's how it's going to work. You keep showing the Muslims because there are these fault lines in so-called Hindu society. That's why I keep on saying the only way for Muslims is not only to think in your head. Look at what's happened to Dalits. Look at what's happened to Adivasis.
So there's an interesting comment that I've taken on the screen. Shantanu and Sabha both make economic performance and standard of living the most important thing. Religion will then become irrelevant, and the byproduct will be the elimination of victimhood that Shantanu spoke about. And I think, Shantanu, that's a fair point.
See, I don't agree to that a bit. Every person has his own identity. He identifies with the economic engagement with the company he's working with or the government. And he is also identified with the religion. Religion is one of the very strong identity. Being in a very capitalist America, where symbol of church is very important, or be in a Islamic country, or be in India, right? So identity, someone identify themselves with the religion. Let's not shoo that away. I mean, that's why we are away from the reality. For my mother, for my grandmother, BJP and RSS did not teach them that go to the temple. That's her own identity. And this is the way crores and crores of Indians and human beings behave. So just shooing away, oh, religion is just a garb and economically going down. So I'll tell you categorically, a lot of people have flourished in the last 70 years because of certain kind of rule. Now they are under pressure. I think a certain kind of narrative is coming up. In whole of the world, in the COVID world, India is the fastest growing economy still. India has managed COVID the best, right? Now you can have a narrative. Oh, the Mandir issue is not new. Mandir issue is a 500-year-old issue.
But you know, to Shahid's point, that he felt that Muslim groups should have surrendered voluntarily that site, but it wouldn't have ended there. कि वहाँ खत्म नहीं होता according to these Muslim groups. फिर आप मथुरा पे आते, फिर आप काशी पे आते, फिर कहीं और आते. There was a resident of Mathura who wrote in saying that no, we don't want this turmoil here. We don't want it.
See, the resident of Mathura, I don't know, is he joining with the correct name, on who is he? Does he represent Mathura? So I'm saying for Sanjay Hegde, Shantanu Gupta does not represent, who has done 1,000 shows, does not represent Hinduism, but a viewer represents the voice of Hindus.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's one voice. Just like you are one voice, Sanjay, we are all just one voices. We all just speak for ourselves. We can't speak for anybody more than ourselves. That I accept, right? But I just want to ask you whether you believe, you see, ye yahan bhi khatam nahi hoga, Sabha and Shantanu. This is going to go into appeal. This is going to remain a live issue. Is there a way that we can, and you can't close issues without some sense of justice, some sense of closure? Sabha and Shantanu, I'm going to give you both 30 seconds. We've lost the line to Vivek. Sorry, Vivek. Thank you, Shahid and Sanjay. Quickly, Sabha, I'll start with you, Shantanu. Your closing remarks, 30 seconds, and then I'll go to Sabha.
I'll again say identity is a huge issue in anybody's life. I'll tell you a small case, and I think Janpat and Rajpat, their name before 1947 was King's Road and Queen's Road. Why did we change that name? Have you ever questioned the name of the change? There was an identity issue, but we stopped there. We did not want to change Aurangzeb Road because that was the Muslim vote for Congress. What if Sikhs feel bad about it? We did not want to change Bakhtiyar Khilji Station, who's destroyed whole Nalanda. Oh, because that's a Muslim vote. But I'm ready to change King's Road and Queen's Road. So changing name is not even in United States, a capitalist United States, I can tell you roads names are changed every month. So these are not just names. You can say, oh, it's not either or. Cultural issues and economic issues are not either or. They will go parallel in the country like India.
Okay, Sabha,
the kind of things we have heard today will reinforce exactly what I'm saying, that it's going to be more of these things. It's going to be calling victimhood if they talk about it. It's going to be erasing. And it actually, sadly at the personal level, I'll just say this, Barkha, maybe because I come from a relatively elite, not in monetary terms, in the intellectual term background of the Muslim community, but the thing is, I actually at personal level, I feel sorry for these guys with their obsession with Muslim. They must be getting up in the morning saying 10 Muslims, sleeping at night and saying jihad, Muslims, Islam. I mean, it's actually a very sad lot of people. So that's all I'll say. My last words. Thank you.
All right, Sabha Naqvi, Shantanu Gupta, thank you so much. And I'm going to say thank you now to to our audience as well. The resident from Mathura is Tanmay Sharma and is saying that he's willing to share his address with Shantanu Gupta. So what I'm going to do is maybe take this argument offline. Shantanu is still with us, and Shantanu, I'm going to connect you and Tanmay Sharma. You can continue that debate over Mathura offline. But what I'm going to do right now is leave you all with these images. LK Advani, now more than 80, actually marginalized by the BJP, is among those acquitted, along with Uma Bharati and Murli Manohar Joshi, in the Babri Masjid demolition verdict. The Supreme Court, while delivering earlier in last year a verdict that paved the way for the Ram Mandir, had said that the demolition of the masjid was unlawful. But today the CBI court seems to have decided that nobody demolished the Babri Masjid. That case will go into appeal. Will it be another 28 years? We leave you with that question. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with another key issue and another very interesting